All right, hello class. I am going to show you guys a couple of online resources in this course to help you kind of further your knitting education and start new projects after this class is over so that you guys can continue working on fun, inspiring projects. So I want to kind of show you where I get my inspiration, how I plan new projects, and where to go after this class is over. So I'm starting off with just a Google search of knit and purl stitch charts. So you can see right there, that is just to get the ball rolling and to show you guys all of the different options that you have as far as techniques and visual elements you can bring in with just those two stitches that we learned in this class. So with these two, the knit and the purl stitch, which are both things that you guys have pretty much mastered at this point, I want you guys to just scroll through kind of these Google images and really kind of take a look at all the different options that you have, because there are so many different textures and designs that you can incorporate into your work with just these two basic elements that we have already learned, which is awesome. So Pinterest is a great place to look for inspiration. Of course, you can do a basic Google image search to try and find blogs and stuff like that, but the number one place that knitters and crocheters hang out and fiber artists hang out is Ravelry.com. So you see here, Ravelry.com. This is a forum style website for fiber arts. So knitting, crocheting, any kind of fiber art techniques. They even have like embroidery and macrame on here. And you can see this is just online right now. There are currently 43,000 people, or 4,300, yeah, 4,300 people online at this moment. They've got like blog forums where you can talk about specific things. Like there are knitting blog forums for people who want to knit things related to Star Trek or Lord of the Rings, or recreating your favorite movie knits, stuff like that. Yeah, there are also like yarn swapping forums. But if we scroll down here, this is kind of their main page where they will feature knitwear designers or feature projects that somebody's been working on. And it's just kind of a community board. And then if we go to patterns, so I'm going to take you guys through, I'm going to try and start to lead you into being able to plan projects and search for patterns and start to imagine all of the things that you can do with these techniques. You will need to log in. You do need to log in and create like a username. And just like any other social media site, you have kind of like your inbox and a place where you can like save patterns. A lot of these patterns are for sale, but there are also a lot of free patterns on here. So this is the really, really great resource. And Ravelry's been around for a long time, so there are tons of users on here. So let's search for a pattern. So we're going to search for knitting. I'm going to make sure that knitting is selected. We're going to search in here. Let's say I want to make a scarf. So we're searching for scarves. These are all the best results. So these are going to be the most popular results. And there are a couple of like famous knitwear designers on here. West Knits is a super famous, and as far as like the knitting community goes, is a very famous knitter. But if I go over here on the left-hand side, I can start to tailor my search a little bit. So let's say I only want free patterns. I'm going to click that. I have, let's say I know I have between 1,200 and 1,500 yards of yarn. So I want anything that is that length or shorter, so I can select the shorter items as well. Start to get some options here. And I can select my needle size. So let's select the US 7 or 4.5 millimeters. So now we scroll back up and I can see all the patterns that are free, that fit the needles that I have, or the yarn that I have. And let's see, I believe there's even, I can probably even narrow it down to just something that incorporates just knit and purl. Let's see. I bet there is a skill level tab on here. Ease. No, that's something different. I bet it's in there and I'm maybe just not seeing it. But let's take a look through here and we can work together and take a look and see what might be within your skill level currently. So I look at this scarf. This scarf looks pretty cute and looks to me like we're going to read through kind of the descriptor here. And you want to see, this is an international site, so some of these patterns are not written in English. So you want to check the language. You want to check, they give you the gauge here. Remember we talked about gauging our work. They talk about the needle size, how much yarn will be required. If you follow the gauge and the length that's required and the needle size, this is what the size of your final product will be. So yeah, so you can take a look. You can also look at projects and see, no projects available, comments. We can look through and see what other people have said about this pattern. Okay, this says, what a gorgeous scarf, must knit. Oh, great for beginners. Okay, so we know that this is a good pattern for beginning knitters. So I want to save this pattern. I'm gonna add it to my favorites. Save, and you can like add a little note there. You can add it to your library, or you can add it to your favorites, are a great way to save those items. Let's see. This looks like it might be another great one for beginning knitters. It's free. It looks like it's just the knit stitch. Let's look at blog posts. Lots of blog posts, lots of people talking about this pattern. Lots of projects where people have knit it. Yeah, that is a really beautiful scarf. And it looks like most people are using kind of a variegated colored yarn, or maybe two colors of yarn, and they're transitioning between the two to get stripes. Oh yeah, a lot of people are using this Noro yarn, which is a very popular Japanese silk yarn. Yeah, so that is really beautiful. So this would be a great one for beginners as well. And if you guys want to log in, and you can pause the screen here and look at these, look at the name of the knitter and the name of the project. I'm going to save this one as well. And you guys can find me on Ravelry, and you can follow me. I do have a few patterns on here as well, and you can find my library and my saved patterns. And so when I'm saving these, you can actually find me on here, and you can find these patterns that I am saving. And I'll make sure that you guys have all of my social media information. I try to post regularly on YouTube and Ravelry, Instagram, and all of the social media sites. Okay, so as you can see, there are tons of great resources on here. There are obviously great projects that are just the knit and the purl stitch that would be perfect for beginners. I do recommend that you look through those comment sections and the project sections to see if this is something that would be applicable to your skill set. Now, that's not to say that you can't level up and start to learn new skill sets. Something like this braided brioche would be a more complicated, this is definitely a little bit of a step up, a little more complicated stitch here. But for the most part, all of these really fancy, complicated looking things, a lot of these are just based on our foundation of knit and purl stitch. So even though these things look really complicated, once you get a few projects under your belt, don't be afraid to level up and get into the next stitch. So now we're going to talk about YouTube. YouTube is just a vast plethora of information. So I definitely recommend that you guys consult YouTube. There are so many knitters and crafters who have just phenomenal videos on here. And as you can see, there are easy knit stitches for beginners, reminders how to knit and purl if you need to like revisit any techniques later on. We've covered the seed stitch, but we've got all of that. So here we go. Here's a great tile knit stitch. So that is a stitch that you guys should have no problem completing and working on. And then we can even look, they're even suggesting dyeing yarn, all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, YouTube, Ravelry. I also want to show you guys Stitch Fiddle, which Stitch Fiddle is a site where you can start to develop your own patterns and color waves. So this is a more advanced skill, but I want you guys to know that these are things that are available and that you can use them once you get more comfortable and more experienced. So let's say you wanted to design a pattern yourself, and if you're a very visual person, you like to kind of chart things out and look at things that way. I recommend you check out Stitch Fiddle. And so let's open up let's create a new chart. Let's say we're going to create a knitting chart, and I want to do colors, empty chart, design my own, 20 by 20. Okay, now the way this works is color coded. So let's say I want red is going to be knit, white will be purl, and let's say I want to do a heart or something like that. So I'm obviously just kind of running through this really quickly with you guys, but as you can see, I can start to kind of shape and design and work on my own patterns here. And you can do letters. You can even, there's even an option to upload an image. So if you go back to create new, knit, color, if you wanted to upload an image, and let's say I've actually done this before with logos and playing around with uploading. Let's back it up here for you guys. Playing around with uploading like a logo or a text. So obviously, you know, these are more complicated skills, but I want you guys to be aware of the resources that are available to you. And perhaps I need to do some more advanced videos for my YouTube and start adding in some of these techniques into my YouTube channel. So that is those are the majority of the online resources that I personally use when I'm plotting projects and looking for inspiration. Ravelry is absolutely the most frequently used and common one. I also totally recommend that you follow people on Instagram that you find inspiring, you like their projects, you like the way they use color and texture, all of that kind of stuff. So go find people that are in the knitting community, follow them and check out what they're doing. You can follow the major yarn brands. I absolutely recommend that you go to your local yarn shop and just peruse around. Maybe hop in for a lot of yarn shops will have like knitting nights, like every Thursday night they get together and you just sit on a couch and hang out and knit with each other. Not so much during the pandemic, but hopefully soon we'll be able to get back to our normal activities. I do miss my knitting circles. Yeah, so hopefully this particular section helped you guys to know what resources are out there. All right, night, guys.